It always seems impossible until it's done. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Education is the most powerful weapon, which you can use to change the world. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. It is better to lead from behind, and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory when nice things occur. You take the front line when there is danger. Then people will appreciate your leadership. To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. Money won't create success, the freedom to make it will. To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. Where globalization means, as it so often does, that the rich and powerful now have new means to further enrich and empower themselves at the cost of the poorer and weaker, we have a responsibility to protest in the name of universal freedom. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. As long as poverty, injustice, and gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. There is no easy walk to freedom anywhere, and many of us will have to pass through the valley of the shadow of death again and again before we reach the mountaintop of our desires. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner. Our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged, to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. Courageous people do not fear forgiving, for the sake of peace. Let there be work, bread, water, and salt, for all. A good leader can engage in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that at the end, he and the other side must be closer, and thus emerge stronger. You don't have that idea when you are arrogant, superficial, and uninformed. I stand here before you not as a prophet, but as a humble servant of you, the people. No country can really develop unless its citizens are educated. In my country, we go to prison first, and then become president. Let freedom reign. The sun never set on so glorious a human achievement. There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile to continue talking about peace and nonviolence against a government whose only reply is savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people. Our daily deeds as ordinary South Africans must produce an actual South African reality that will reinforce humanity's belief in justice, strengthen its confidence in the nobility of the human soul, and sustain all our hopes for a glorious life for all. People respond in accordance to how you relate to them. If you approach them on the basis of violence, that's how they'll react. But if you say, "We want peace, we want stability," we can then do a lot of things that will contribute towards the progress of our society. There is no such thing as part freedom. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live together in harmony, and with equal opportunities. It is an ideal which I hope to live for, and to achieve. But if needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. It is wise to persuade people to do things, and make them think it was their own idea. Any man, or institution that tries to rob me of my dignity, will lose. Only free men can negotiate. A prisoner cannot enter into contracts. Without education, your children can never really meet the challenges they will face. So it's very important to give children education, and explain that they should play a role for their country. When the water starts boiling, it is foolish to turn off the heat. I was called a terrorist yesterday, but when I came out of jail, many people embraced me, including my enemies, and that is what I normally tell other people, who say those who are struggling for liberation in their country are terrorists. Communists have always played an active role in the fight by colonial countries for their freedom, because the short-term objects of communism would always correspond with the long-term objects of freedom movements. Running taught me valuable lessons. In cross-country competition, training counted more than intrinsic ability, and I could compensate for a lack of natural aptitude with diligence and discipline. I applied this in everything I did. There are times when a leader must move out, ahead of the flock, go off in a new direction, confident that he is leading his people the right way. After one has been in prison, it is the small things that one appreciates. I detest racialism, because I regard it as a barbaric thing, whether it comes from a black man, or a white man. Does anybody really think that they didn't get what they had, because they didn't have the talent, or the strength, or the endurance, or the commitment? I dream of an Africa, which is in peace with itself. I will not leave South Africa, nor will I surrender. Only through hardship, sacrifice, and militant action can freedom be won. The struggle is my life. I will continue fighting for freedom until the end of my days. I cannot say for certain if there is such a thing as love at first sight, but I do know that the moment I first glimpsed Winnie Nomzamo, I knew that I wanted to have her as my wife. I was not a messiah, but an ordinary man, who had become a leader because of extraordinary circumstances. We can't afford to be killing one another. Even if you have a terminal disease, you don't have to sit down and mope. Enjoy life and challenge the illness that you have. I should tie myself to no particular system of society. other than of socialism. In countries where innocent people are dying, the leaders are following their blood, rather than their brains. I have always regarded myself, in the first place, as an African patriot. I can't pretend that I'm brave, and that I can beat the whole world. Our single most important challenge is therefore to help establish a social order in which the freedom of the individual will truly mean the freedom of the individual. Let each know that for each, the body, the mind, and the soul have been freed to fulfill themselves. Apart from life, a strong constitution, and an abiding connection to the Thembu royal house, the only thing my father bestowed upon me at birth was a name, Ralilala. Give a child love, laughter and peace, not AIDS. Unlike some politicians, I can admit to a mistake. Those of us who lived in single cells, you had the time to sit down and think. And we discovered that sitting down just to think is one of the best ways of keeping yourself fresh, and able to address the problems facing you. And you had the opportunity, also, of examining your past. Intervention only works when the people concerned seem to be keen for peace. When I came to Johannesburg from the countryside, I knew nobody, but many strangers were very kind to me. I then was dragged into politics, and then, subsequently, I became a lawyer. Africans want the franchise on the basis of one man one vote. They want political independence. I started to make a study of the art of war and revolution, and whilst abroad, underwent a course in military training. If there was to be guerrilla warfare, I wanted to be able to stand and fight with my people, and to share the hazards of war with them. If there are dreams about a beautiful South Africa, there are also roads that lead to their goal. Two of these roads could be named goodness and forgiveness. Sometimes, I feel like one who is on the sidelines, who has missed life itself. If you are poor, you are not likely to live long. Non-violence is a good policy when the conditions permit. Let us give publicity to HIV/AIDS, and not hide it, because the only way to make it appear like a normal illness, like TB, like cancer, is always to come out and say somebody has died because of HIV/AIDS, and people will stop regarding it as something extraordinary. I dream of the realization of the unity of Africa, whereby its leaders combine in their efforts to solve the problems of this continent. I dream of our vast deserts, of our forests, of all our great wildernesses. I have retired, but if there's anything that would kill me, it is to wake up in the morning not knowing what to do. You know, you can only lead them from behind. By ancestry, I was born to rule. I realized quickly what Mandela and Tambo meant to ordinary Africans. It was a place where they could come and find a sympathetic ear and a competent ally. A place where they would not be either turned away or cheated. A place where they might actually feel proud to be represented by men of their own skin color. From the beginning, Mandela and Tambo was besieged with clients. We were not the only African lawyers in South Africa, but we were the only firm of African lawyers. For Africans, we were the firm of first choice.
and last resort. The titanic effort that has brought liberation to South Africa, and ensured the total liberation of Africa, constitutes an act of redemption for the black people of the world.
Sabotage did not involve loss of life, and it offered the best hope for future race relations. Bitterness would be kept to a minimum and, if the policy bore fruit, democratic government could become a reality. I am confident that nobody will accuse me of selfishness if I ask to spend time, while I am still in good health, with my family, my friends and also with myself. I really wanted to retire and rest and spend more time with my children, my grandchildren and of course with my wife. There are so many men and women who hold no distinctive positions, but whose contribution towards the development of society has been enormous. I have been influenced in my thinking by both West and East. Leaders in all spheres who are living with HIV should be encouraged, not coerced, to lead by example, and disclose their HIV status. There are many people in South Africa who are rich, and who can share those riches with those not so fortunate, who have not been able to conquer poverty. Before I went to jail, I was active in politics as a member of South Africa's leading organization, and I was generally busy from 7 a.m. until midnight. I never had time to sit and think. There is nothing I fear more than waking up without a program that will help me bring a little happiness to those with no resources, those who are poor, illiterate, and ridden with terminal disease. Prison life. Fortunately, I spent a lot of years, about 18 years with other prisoners, and, as I say, they enriched your soul. At the outset, I want to say that the suggestion that the struggle in South Africa is under the influence of foreigners, or communists is wholly incorrect. I have done whatever I did because of my experience in South Africa, and my own proudly felt African background, and not because of what any outsider might have said. As an attorney, I could be rather flamboyant in court. I did not act as though I were a black man in a white man's court, but as if everyone else, white and black, was a guest in my court. When trying a case, I often made sweeping gestures, and used high-flown language.
A leader is like a shepherd. He stays behind the flock, letting the most nimble go out ahead, whereupon the others follow, not realizing that all along they are being directed from behind. As I have said, the first thing is to be honest with yourself. You can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. Great peacemakers are all people of integrity, of honest, but humility. As I walked out the door, towards the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. I like friends who have independent minds, because they tend to make you see problems from all angles. Everyone can rise above their circumstances and achieve success if they are dedicated and passionate about what they do. Do not judge me by my successes, judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again. A winner is a dreamer who never gives up. Resentment is like drinking poison, and then hoping it would kill your enemies. When a man has done what he considers to be his duty to his people and his country, he can rest in peace.